Welcome to History Decoded. The year is around 1000 CE. The Viking Age is at its peak, and the Norsemen, fearsome warriors and master seafarers, are venturing further than ever before. Their longships have already taken them to the British Isles, Greenland, and even as far as Iceland. Now, under the leadership of explorer Leif Erikson, the son of the legendary Eric the Red, the Vikings are about to make a new discovery, a land beyond the known world. This land, which they would call Vinland, was rich in natural resources. The sagas describe it as a place where grapes grew wild, and the forests were thick with timber, both valuable commodities for the Norse. But the land was also home to indigenous peoples, the ancestors of today's Native Americans. Though these people had lived in North America for thousands of years, to the Vikings, they were an unknown force. As the Vikings set foot on these unfamiliar shores, they encountered the native peoples for the first time. The sagas refer to them as Skraelings, a term the Vikings used to describe them as small and strange. But these Native Americans were anything but weak. They were a resourceful and resilient people, well adapted to their environment, with a deep knowledge of the land they had called home for generations. The first encounters between the Vikings and the Native Americans were surprisingly peaceful. According to the sagas, both sides engaged in trading. The Norse offered iron tools, wool, and weapons, while the Native Americans exchanged furs, skins, and other valuable resources. The Vikings, who came from a land where iron was scarce, saw an opportunity to expand their trade network, while the Native Americans were introduced to new materials and technologies. However, as with many first contacts in history, peace was fragile. Cultural misunderstandings, competition for resources, and mutual distrust soon began to strain the relationship. Communication was difficult, as neither group spoke the other's language, and misunderstandings could quickly escalate. One such misunderstanding would lead to the first violent clash between the Vikings and the Native Americans. According to one of the sagas, a group of Norsemen killed a number of Skraelings after a disagreement. In retaliation, the Native Americans launched an attack on the Norse settlement, catching the Vikings off guard. Armed with bows, arrows, and their knowledge of the terrain, the Native Americans fought fiercely against the invaders. Though the Vikings were equipped with superior weapons, swords, axes, and shields, they were vastly outnumbered. The Native Americans, who knew the land intimately, used guerrilla tactics to harass the Norse settlers, attacking quickly and then vanishing into the forests. The Vikings found themselves in a hostile and unfamiliar environment, and for all their military prowess, they were unable to hold their ground. Leif Erikson and his men realized that Vinland, while rich in resources, was not a land they could easily conquer or settle. After several skirmishes with the Native Americans, the Vikings made the difficult decision to abandon their settlement and return to Greenland. It had become clear that the risks of staying in Vinland outweighed the rewards. Though their stay in North America was brief, the Vikings' encounters with the Native Americans left a lasting mark on both cultures. For the Norse, Vinland became a distant memory, recorded in sagas passed down through generations. These sagas, a mix of history and legend, offer tantalizing glimpses into the world of the Vikings and their explorations. While the Vikings never established a permanent settlement in North America, their voyages were among the first known European contacts with the New World, occurring nearly 500 years before Columbus. For the Native Americans, the arrival of the Vikings was just one of many challenges they faced in their long history of survival on the continent. Though the Viking presence was temporary, the indigenous people continued to thrive in the land their ancestors had inhabited for millennia. Their ability to defend their territory from these foreign invaders is a testament to their strength and resilience. But how do we know these encounters really happened? For many years, the tales of Vikings in North America were thought to be nothing more than myth. Then, in 1960, archaeologists uncovered the remains of a Viking settlement at L'Anse Aux Meadows in Newfoundland, Canada. This site provided definitive proof that the Norse had indeed reached North America long before any other Europeans. The discovery of L'Anse Aux Meadows was a groundbreaking moment in our understanding of early exploration and cross-cultural contact. The settlement consisted of several Viking-style buildings, including longhouses, workshops, and even a forge. Artifacts found at the site, such as iron tools and boat nails, confirmed that the settlement was Norse in origin. While the archaeological evidence at L'Anse Aux Meadows supports the accounts of Viking exploration in the sagas, it also raises new questions. How far did the Vikings explore beyond Newfoundland? Did they venture deeper into the continent, interacting with other indigenous groups along the way? And what other traces of their presence might still be waiting to be uncovered? These questions continue to drive archaeological research today as scholars search for more clues about the Viking presence in North America. While we may never know the full extent of their travels, the discovery of their settlement at L'Anse Aux Meadows serves as a powerful reminder of how interconnected the ancient world truly was. The story of the Vikings and Native Americans is one of adventure, exploration, and ultimately conflict. It's a story that challenges the way we think about the past and reminds us that history is never static. It's a constantly evolving narrative shaped by the people who lived it and the evidence they left behind. In the end, the first meetings between the Vikings and the Native Americans were fleeting, but their impact echoes across the centuries. They were the earliest documented encounters between Europe and North America, a moment when two distant worlds collided on the edge of the unknown. Thank you for joining us on History Decoded. If you enjoyed this exploration of the Viking and Native American encounters, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into history's hidden moments. Until next time, stay curious.